And we're back. It's Talkin Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Right. How you doing? Hour number 2 of 2. We start at 9 o'clock, so we appreciate it if you get here on time.
What did we talk about the first hour?
I don't know. We talked about me blowing my back out trying to move some box around and you pumping your bathroom full of hot tub water. Other than that, I don't really know what we talked about. Numbers here in the studio, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140, or you can text us at 44-1140. Chris, you want to do your hour 2 of 2, your thing there? You look like you were getting ready to take a nap there.
Sure, why not?
Okay, let's do it.
Well, everyone's been complaining about the political process, which there's a lot to complain about. But I went to go vote for the primaries this last weekend, and when you turn in your voter, when they scan it and everything, it tells you how many people have voted. I went around 5, 6 o'clock, and in my area where I was voting, there were 50 people that voted.
Wow.
So everyone who has a problem say, like, you know what, I'm not being represented in Washington. Well, of course you're not. You're not voting. Why should you be represented?
I don't want them to vote, though. That means your vote was that much stronger, Chris.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to lessen my appeal, just inform yourself. I mean, it's really not that hard. It took me about 20 minutes to say, okay, this is how I feel about this proposition. This is how I feel about this candidate. And just go and vote. It's really not that big of a waste of time. And your employer should allow you an hour off to go and vote. So there really is no more excuses for not voting.
So now, truth be told, did you read the little thing while you were in the booth and you figure I'm going to vote on that one, or did you actually read it in advance?
No, I read in advance so I could just get in and get out.
So this is my, okay, appreciate it, Chris. This is my strategy for when I run for office. I will have no campaign. I will have no platform. I will have no pros or cons points. I will only run ads that just say my name, like Tarbell, and then like a bell, bing, that rings, and I'll run that ad 1 million times. Bing, Tarbell, vote for Tarbell, because I'm convinced that 99% of people get there and they look through the ballot and they're like, oh damn, I didn't figure out who to vote for, and they go, oh yeah, I remember that guy, Tarbell, ding, I'll choose my name, and I think that will be just as successful as any other strategy you could come up with.
It's like that movie. I don't know if you ever saw Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy. Where the longtime congressman dies, and he kind of had the same name as him, so he ran under that name. Oh. And everyone's like, who do we vote for again? Oh, yeah, him. And so he got voted as a congressman.
There you go. So that's my strategy.
Proven strategy.
Yeah. Because either you're gonna like me or you're gonna hate me. If you know where I stand, I could just go pull the podcast. You can figure out I'm already screwed up in the head. So, but I'm just going to catch all the undecideds, because that's where, I mean, the Republicans are going to vote for Republicans, the Democrats are going to vote for Democrats, and it's the undecideds. We're only after like 9 voters, according to Chris, because only 50 of them showed up and 40 of them were on each side of the aisle. So I only need 9 people to swing my way, and hopefully they'll just remember my name and ding, and that'll be it. That's what sum total of my advertising campaign.
How's that work?
Ding. Yeah, see, it'll be like a highly produced, political sounding, stud bell, something like that. But it'll be, yeah, that's all I'm doing.
Like ping.
Yeah, it won't be that. That's not quite what I'm looking. It doesn't mean like a Liberty Bell. We need like a Liberty Bell type of a. Yeah, Chris, get on that, will you? In the meantime, I'll talk about the
shortages.
The shortages that's coming. Yeah, so I was just during the break, I was reading through this a little bit more, talking about grapes in California, and yeah, that's getting there. We'll have to work on that a little bit. I have some time yet. I haven't really decided what I'm running for yet. Until they haven't come out with. You can't run for king yet, so I'm waiting for something in that strat. I don't want to start out just being like a lowly. I don't want to. Like the guy who gets like what they call the doghouse down there at the Capitol, like a little office that has like no window and no bathroom, and you're down there because everybody hates you and you didn't vote their way. So I don't want to be that. I'm already like that. That's how my office is at the office. I already have that.
Much.
I own that already. I need something that has like a velour type of a backing and kind of tall thing in there, and people just
I'm getting the visual now.
Yeah, you got that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like this hat, but more jewels in it. Kind of crown.
You can wear it forward or backwards.
I could wear both ways. If someone complains about me wearing it backwards, I'll have their head cut off. I think being king would be good. Something. I'm willing to settle for less than king to start with. But I'm still working. I'm still working on that. So I'll get back to you on what I come up with in my position. But
we'll follow.
But I have the campaign worked out.
Bing.
And you don't have to see. This is the nice part. You don't have to buy those lengthy 30 and 60 second commercials. You could do that in 5 seconds. Vote Tarbell. Boom. See, that's it. 5 seconds. I can produce. I can like a million.
I like the bing a little better.
You like the bing?
Yeah, the bong.
All right, we'll come back to that. I digress. I'm talking grapes now, though, and this is interesting because in California, I think we talked about the strawberry problem that they're worried about with the pesticides. They're being ruled out. That's an issue. Strawberries, nuts are doing okay. But now you're talking grapes, and this was a very interesting article. I think it's funny because so they're looking at the cost of grapes, and what happened is, so in the 90s you had all these, everybody doing wine, right? Everybody's making all kinds of money. We're all going to do our winery. Prices went down. People got out of it. They started switching over to nuts. Like nuts and almonds went crazy in terms of their prices. Everybody was doing nuts and vegetables and fruit. Then you run into a recession, so people don't spend the money recapitalizing their crops or starting new crops. And now you're coming into, this is interesting, wine sales in the United States have risen for 18 straight years, and California itself has going up about 5% a year in terms of wine sales and wine consumption. So that's going up and up and up.
That's from our wives.
Got to be. Cabernet Red grapes have roughly doubled in price in the last year. And even, this is the part I like, even the prices for Merlot, which fell out of favor with consumers after the 2004 film Sideways poked fun at it, is now on its way back. Also, I didn't see the film Sideways, and you'll see. I don't know what they were making fun of. But I guess maybe Merlot was supposed to be the
more foo-foo.
The foo-foo. Yeah, but you can get a good red Merlot and a white Merlot.
There's no white Merlot.
There's not white Merlot?
No.
I got a good white Merlot. I'm thinking of Zin. I'm thinking of
this is a tequila drinker.
In the wine coolers that I drink, you can get any color you want. They come by the 4-pack.
I'll take some of the yellow.
Yeah, the yellow. I'll take some yellow. So then, what's wrong with the Merlot? What was the problem in the movie?
I don't recall, but okay. I'm sure it was funny.
So anyway, all these prices are coming back out. So the maker. So here's the question that you mentioned during that you didn't even know you were ahead of yourself, and you were. So Bronco Wines. You ever heard of Bronco Wine? Which is the Franzia family. I have heard of Franzia Wines. Franzia is believed to be the country's largest vineyard owner with 45,000 acres of wine. That's of grapes. That's a lot of grapes. So, but Bronco Wine produces the Trader Joe's $2 Chuck, and in California, $2 Chuck is still $1.99. In the rest of the country, it is not. And
$2 Chuck is not.
$2 Chuck is $2.50. $2.50 Chuck. Or more, so they're trying to figure out if they're going to be able to keep that price together as well. So anyway, grapes. And so if you see your bottle prices going up and up, and it's not really so John and I were out running around was it Saturday or Sunday? We went up to Hellwig.
Sunday.
That was a nice ride. And what did you think of Hellwig, by the way?
Beautiful.
Place is awesome.
You sit there and you see Tahoe Mountains, and you can see downtown Sacramento.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, you can see from the coastal range to the Sierra. So it was beautiful weather. But you can go up there and always get your 1 to 2 bottle of wine. But this is talking about bulk sales. Your Gallows and those kind of things. And these guys have already pre-sold their wine for the next 3 years, committed to the places. So wines, and you can't jump into that business real quick, because if you start planning today, it takes 3 to 4 years for you to start producing things. So there's going to be a little bit of a drag for a while. So you might want to switch over to tequila, which is also really expensive and going up too. So anyway, that's my
wine coolers,
or the wine coolers, which actually probably have no wine in them, or they have the white Merlot.
That might be why you have a headache this morning.
I don't drink wine coolers anymore. Those were good in high school, though. Those are the good thing. Off the text line at 441140. Hey Jeff, to get home values to start increasing, should banks approve fixed rate loans on homes for more than they appraise for if the buyers are qualified for the loan? That's from the 530. Should banks approve fixed rate loans on homes for more than they appraise for if the buyers are qualified for the loan? So to get home values increasing. So let me think about that for a second. Should we? So John wants to buy a house for $200,000, but he qualifies for 2.25. So should I? So how am I going to? So if I give John a loan for 2.25, what am I going to do? John's not going to want to give the seller $225 if he can buy it for $200.
I think they're saying that's what the seller wants.
Okay,
it only appraises at $2.
Gotcha. So if there's
a loan at $225,
well, it doesn't have anything to do with whether it's a fixed rate or what the lender will be willing to do. I get the point. The point is that we're not allowing kind of a natural growth of prices for the lenders, and the appraisers are saying, I can't prove $225 on that house. I can only prove $215. I know it's worth $225 because there was 5 guys in line that want to pay $225, but I can't prove it by other sales. And so from the 530, they're saying, well, maybe the bank should loosen up a little bit and let John pay what he wants. That's probably okay if John's willing to put down some money. So if he wants to, and this happens, I mean, if John's putting down 20 or 25%, then we don't really care if he wants to overpay, because we're going to look at our loan amount based off of what we think the lending community thinks the value is, or what the appraisal is. So John can pay more. And that does happen, not a lot right now. But if John's coming in with only 3 or 5% down, and I'm allowing, the banking community is allowing him to pay more than the quote unquote appraised value, if John defaults, then his equity's already gone. The bank is still upside down.
Yeah, right off the start.
Right off the bat. And so is the likelihood that John, with good credit and good income history and absolutely no history of doing anything other than just paying his bills on time, is it likely that he'll default? No, it's not likely, but it's not impossible. I mean, John walks into his job the next day, and his employer says, hey, you know what? This tax thing in California is going through. We're moving to Nevada. You want to come? John's like, I'll either lose my job or I got to move. So John leaves. Can't sell his house because he owes more than it's worth, and here we go again. So you do run into some issues with maximum financing on those type of properties. I like what you're thinking, and I agree with what you're thinking. We're going to have to start allowing a little bit of appreciation, and eventually our area will become an area where the lending community recognizes that this is an appreciating market. Okay, right now they consider it a stable market. A couple of years ago it was a declining market. And so how your zip code is coded, if you will, into kind of the national database, like for example, I believe there's certain numbers of Bay Area zip codes that are considered appreciating markets. And in that market, an appraiser is allowed some flexibility to say, yes, I know John offered $225 on this house, and I know every other house has been $215, but I'm looking around and saying, that this market is appreciating a couple percent a year. And I'm also looking around at the other houses that are being offered for sale, the pendings and the offerings, the new listings, and they're all at $235. So the last sale was $215. John offered $225, and everything else around it is coming out at $230. The appraisers allowed that variance a little bit in an appreciating market. We're not there yet in our market. I believe that we actually are there on the low end, in terms of just the competitiveness for pricing. It's just that it hasn't translated yet to higher prices. But
right, and with the pent-up inventory, with banks, they're still like, well, what if it all gets unleashed? So I think we're going to be in a stable market for the next couple of years.
I think on the low end, well, it'll be interesting to see. I still think that there is one more shoe to drop, and I think that when the election is over, regardless of who wins or loses, I don't think that's going to matter, because you're going to then have some certainty. So if Obama wins, then he can't run again. Right, so any bad news doesn't affect him. So if we're going to see an unleash of houses come out and the market kind of come back down again, it doesn't affect him, because he can't run again. So it'll could affect other people running for office, but not him. And likewise, if a Republican wins, then you're going to see you might see kind of a flush out, saying, okay, let's start from scratch here. Let's get it over with now, early in the term. So I don't think that it matters who, but I do think you're going to see one more wave of kind of stuff hit the fan, if you will, and I won't be surprised if we don't see some price declines, in the first quarter of next year, if this quote unquote shadow inventory starts to flow through, and maybe not so much on the low end, but maybe where we're starting to see some solidity, if you will, or just price is starting to firm up a little bit. Is that kind of that $500,000 to $1 million range, which has been really, really soft and really, really weak, is finally kind of starting to get its legs underneath them again. And if you dump out, another load of houses that are in that price range there's just not a lot of buyers in that range.
Right.
And I think that's going to hurt that group a little bit again. I see such a strong demand for that under 300 stuff, particularly under 250, because you have all these first-time buyers that are frustrated they can't find.
Affordability, cash flow for investors.
Cash flow for investors, yep. So I think that stuff will get kind of eaten up, but I'm a little worried about the kind of the first half of next year. I think rates will be great. I just think that we're going to see maybe one more dip in terms of pricing a little bit, and then if you throw on the fact that maybe the tax increases come in, that's going to slow some other things down too. So I'm worried about the first half of next year. I don't think it's going to be particularly attractive in the real estate world, depending on how these things go. Now we're in a weird year. We're in the political year, so the tax things might get extended out a little bit. Right. And push that off a little bit. So, and that wouldn't surprise me at all. So it'll be interesting to see. Off the text line again at 441140. Jeff, I have a 15-year fixed loan. I have 12 and a half years on it at 4 3/8, and should I refinance at 3.2% for 15 years and start all over again? You don't have to do that. I mean, you don't have to start all over again. You could do a 12-year loan, or if you have a 12 and a half year loan, you could do the same rate. You get the 15-year rate, but you could take a 12-year loan,
amortize it over the 12 years.
Yeah. So when we do that. I'm not sure if everybody does that, but the question with refinancing, always is, what is it going to cost you, if anything? Right now, we're doing a lot of no-cost stuff. And no-cost doesn't mean, by the way, buried in your loan amount. That's no out of pocket. I'm talking about no fees, or maybe you just pay the appraiser and that's it. But what does that cost, and what is that savings? And then how long do you intend to be there? So, your average payback on a refinance right now probably runs about 30 months as an average.
Right.
If you don't pay any fees at all, and you don't get quite the rate drop that you would expect, but you paid nothing, you can't go wrong there unless you are going back to your original term. So if you're at 26 years, you're going back to 30, you've extended 4 years of paying out. So you are, even if you paid no fees to get the loan, you're still paying more in interest over the life of the loan. So look at a term where you say, okay, look, in this case, I have 12 and a half years left to do the loan. So why don't I set it up as a fully amortized 12-year fixed? You're going to get the 15-year rate, but I can set it up so I'm not going backwards. I'm getting the lower rate. Ideally, if it's going to cost me a couple grand, I'll scratch you a check for a couple grand if that's what the cost is, and I'm going to go to 12 years instead of 12 and a half. So I'm going to get the lower rate and a little shorter term, and I'm going to keep going forward. That
right. You're going to recover in 30 months. You're going to have a ton of savings and interest over the term of the loan.
Yep. And even if you are not able, we've got to take a break here in a minute. If we're not able to set that up, so with us, if you want to do a 24-year term on a 30-year fixed, you're going to get the 30-year rate because you're not quite to the 20-year yet. Some lenders will allow us to set it up as a setup payment at 24 years, and some will not. So you don't want to pay a penalty by getting a higher rate just to get that convenience of that 24-year loan. Okay. So this has happened with clients of mine. I look at it and I go, you know what? The lenders that are letting us do that right now, their pricing is not as good. Let's take a quote-unquote 30-year fixed from them. But once the loan gets to servicing and you get your first kind of your little welcome kit saying, hey, would you like us to take your check take the payment out of your check each month, or auto pay and all those good things too. You can right there, I can give you the extra principal reduction payment each month. You can set it up right there with them. Okay, my normal payment is $1,250. I want to send in $1,700 because I want to get back to the 20 years. So I want like an extra $450 a month principal reduction. And you set that up right off the bat, then boom, $1,700 comes out of your account every month. You've accomplished the exact same thing. You've got the same great rate. It's all set up. Your note doesn't say 25 years. It says 30, but you're on a 25-year payoff. Yep. Awesome. And once you do that and you get used to that habit, and it doesn't have to be $450 a month. It could be $50 a month. Set it up. It just comes out. It's like your 401k. Take it out in advance. Set up your payment just a little bit. I don't know if we've talked about this number for a while, but 10% of your payment, so 10% more per year. So let's say your principal and interest payment is $1,000 a month. If you sent $1,100 a month, an extra 10% every month, that's 7 years off of a 30-year mortgage. Okay, so an extra 10% probably won't change your lifestyle here, but 7 years, that's a 23-year loan now. That's a lot.
It's huge.
That's a lot of interest for not a lot of pain. Not a lot of pain. So think about that when you're doing that. Hey, we got to take a quick break. We got any more quiz questions?
Yeah, we do. So we're speaking of like lack of grapes, lack of strawberries. This talks about minerals, rocks. Basically, we're looking at life term of mining of these key minerals in the area.
Supply left.
Okay. And we have potash with 610 years, iron ore with 590, copper 136 years, 82 years for, can't even pronounce it, metallurgical coal. So coal.
Okay.
82 years. Natural gas at 58.6 years, 46.2 of oil, and that's
debatable.
Okay. So the number one item is has a short term left. Do you know what that is?
So there's
18.9 years available of this mineral.
Yeah.
Left for mining. And what is it?
339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. It is the standard behind which this country was founded.
There's a lot of it in the ocean.
Is there?
There is.
So which mineral is only down to what they figure about 18 years left of mineable product of this mineral or metal or whatever you want to put it? 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. This is Talkin Money. My name is Jeff Tarbell. That's John Farrar. We'll be right back.